Okay. Check 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we're good. Okay. All right.
So we're live now.
I think we're live. It should be anyways. We should be good to go. I see the live button there. This is 100. If you're tuning in, this is 100% a fun little test night that we're having here. Today I said, Brad, come over. Let's have some fun with this and see if we can get the software to work a little bit and sit down and just chat. We were deciding it's May 4th today, so we're like, should we watch a Star Wars movie or what we're doing? We're like, you know what? Let's sit down and talk about Hold the Bridge. So if you're tuning in tonight and you don't know exactly who we are, not sure why you're on our Facebook in the first place, but you might not know who we are. So I'm Graham.
I'm Brad.
That's Brad. And we're getting ready. We've been talking about doing a podcast now for how long? 6 months.
Maybe.
We've been discussing the concept of doing the podcast, and we went through about 1,000 names and concepts of what we wanted to do and what we would call it and why, and we narrowed it down and we came down to the podcast called Hold the Bridge.
Hold the bridge.
And so what we decided we are going to do tonight is we're just going to sit down, invite you into our little room here, our little discussion room, where we're playing with lighting and backdrops and all sorts of fun things for film and all that. And we're going to discuss a little bit about Hold the Bridge. And my thoughts is you can talk about what Hold the Bridge means to you, and I'll talk about what Hold the Bridge means to me, because although it means the same thing to us, it also holds different meaning
Right.
in who we are and the way we think and life mission and purpose, and I think this will be really impactful. So if you're watching this video and you've got time tonight or whenever you're viewing this, take some time to listen in. I think you'll find some value on some of the concepts and things we're gonna talk about. So tell me, Brad, what does Hold the Bridge mean to you, and where did that idea or concept come to you in your life? Tell me about that.
So we were tossing around names, trying to figure out what to call this thing, and we would check them. Is that taken already? What's it connected to elsewhere? And everything we came up with, some of it was great, some of it was trash, but it was always connected to somebody else. Someone else already had a podcast about something totally different.
Right. And some of them would be like, they have 5 subscribers, and we're like, still, it's such a good name, but can't do it.
But years ago, I actually, one of the books that's on the shelf here, I read, and there's a story in that book of a man who held the bridge against invading army by himself, and they respected him so much that they fought him one man at a time. And he held that bridge for 3 days. He fought for 3 days, and because he did that, the city behind him that he was protecting, the innocent got away. And that's where the name came out of, because I don't know how old I was when I read that story, but just deeply impactful. Later on, actually only a couple of years ago, I was at a men's event that was very, very physically intense, and we ended up doing something on the last day that you think you cannot get through. And the line I just kept telling myself over and over and over again for hours was, hold the bridge, Brad. You got to hold the bridge. There's somebody behind you in danger if you don't stand and fight, if you don't stay and hold the line, if you don't hold to your convictions, if you don't produce what it is you were created to produce, if you don't do what you were created to do, somebody behind you suffers.
Hmm.
And while it hasn't always been a conscious, like that hasn't been at the forefront of my mind through all the things I've created over the years or the places I've decided to put my energy, that has been a big part of it. Is we are all uniquely created for our own individual purposes. If we don't do them, then somebody behind us is going to suffer because of it. And often that's our own descendants, our own legacy. They are going to
Right.
suffer because we didn't do what we were supposed to do, because we didn't do what we were called to do, what we were created to do,
Mm-hmm.
because we decided to quit instead of hold the bridge, or we decided that fight wasn't worth our time or our energy, or why would anybody do it? Whatever the excuse was that we decided not to, it's our children and our grandchildren, our great grandchildren, and our allies, and people we've never met and will never have any association with. We have no idea how many people will be. They will take the consequences of us not staying in the fight.
Hmm. Not taking action.
Yeah, not doing what we were created to do.
Because not taking an action is also taking an action.
Yeah, right.
It's the whole dichotomy of like choosing to not do anything is also has active consequences.
Right.
You know, if you don't stand in the gap,
Yeah.
you don't hold the bridge.
Yeah.
What are the consequences? Not just for the people who be directly impacted, but imagine the people that are out there in the world right now. And for those of you that are listening, like I'm saying this to myself, I'm saying this to Brad, I'm saying this to you guys too, but what are the consequences for the gift that God has given you or the calling that's on your life, the path set before you, if you don't rise up or take action on the things that you're supposed to do? Imagine the people that don't get to benefit from the gift that you have.
Right.
It's an active consequence for not taking action.
Yeah.
For not becoming the best version of yourself, for not changing your mindset on things, for not getting control of your emotions or your mind or your will or your body. There's rippling effects
Mm-hmm.
for all of it. And although in today, for like us in modern society, it's not, the chances of me having to stand on a physical bridge tomorrow and fight off an army are very low,
Right.
physically speaking. But if I don't wake up tomorrow and get up and deliver my gift or my calling or that thing that's inside of me, what are the consequences for the people, not just in my own sphere, my children, my family, my friends, but the people who are around the world who need to be reached by those effects?
Right.
They're far more reaching than what we actually think.
Mm-hmm.
Like our choices every day are far
Yeah.
more reaching than what we do or what we think.
And sometimes that bridge is even just inside ourselves. Like, how often do we have to fight ourselves in order to keep doing what we were created to do? How often do I have to fight laziness or fear or just hopelessness or depression or addiction,
Right.
or whatever those things are? Those are bridges. They're all bridges, and if I don't stay and fight, those behind me suffer. Even from just the internal ones. you know I also think about, like, it's got to be, it doesn't have to be, but something we know we're supposed to do, right? So I'll probably reference a lot of books on this podcast over the years, but a good book you can read with your kids is Watership Down. So Watership Down is an adventure story about a bunch of rabbits. Great book, fantastic book. I still read it today. But there's a scene in there where the big rabbits from over the hill are trying to take over, and there's this one rabbit. He just stays in the entrance of their den, and he just will not move. And he just fights and fights and fights and fights. And there's a place where another rabbit comes down and says, why are you doing this? And he says, well, my chief rabbit told me to hold this, so here I hold.
in case you guys don't know, there's going to be tears on this podcast. Like, I would probably consider Brad and I like to be, we're pretty in touch with our masculine side, but we're also emotionally intelligent in a way that like we don't have a problem crying over things that are deep and dear to us. Like we don't have that issue. So there's probably going to be some really real and raw stuff that
Right.
gets said on here.
Right.
So if there's ever moments of silence, it's not awkward. It's just we embrace it and feel it.
But the next piece of that story is the rabbit who's down there is shocked that there's a chief rabbit. That this bigwig is the guy holding the den. Bigwig is not the chief. You're not the chief rabbit. There's somebody greater than you, some purpose greater than you that keeps you here. And that's what the bridge is all about. Is like, if I pull something from within myself to hold the bridge over, I'll never keep the conviction to do it. It has to be something that was given to me to do, something that was created. My chief rabbit told me to hold this bridge.
Right.
You know, God told me to hold this bridge, or my family's needs made it that I must hold this bridge. Whatever it is, it's got to be outside of me.
Right.
You know? Well, that's where it all came from. That's where Hold the Bridge came from.
And so was it one of the Troy books that
Yes.
the story is in about
Mhm.
holding the bridge, where the man's actually holding the bridge, so the innocence behind him.
Yep.
So one of the concepts that we discussed was about how, especially today in America, but around the world, there are things that are happening which are stealing innocence, which is
Right.
attacking the values of the freedoms, natural freedoms of every man and woman, things that really freedoms and things that we should be born with and have freedoms and right to choose and to grow up in a healthy environment. In a lot of ways, those are under attack.
Yep.
So a lot of what we discuss and a lot of what we're talking about is just trying to bring facts to the table versus, well, there might be some unhinged opinions, but it'll be in good taste. But like talking about facts, human psychology, statistics,
Yep.
things like that, where we're going to kind of dive into like, here's what's happening, and we're not afraid to talk about it. We're not afraid to say the hard thing or discuss it and come from a place of fact versus, heavy political opinion or something like
Right.
that. But like, let's just talk about the facts, and here are the consequences. Here are what we see as potential ripple effects if we don't hold this bridge, if
Yep.
we don't stand up and we don't say no, or if we don't hold this ground, nobody will. Like, we can't expect anybody else to hold the bridge if we don't.
Right. I think also across the span of however long we continue this, neither of us are afraid of opinion and other people having differing opinions.
Mhm.
And so we're okay talking about opinions or desires that can be different from everybody else, because both of us have a heavy amount of respect for everyone's individual decisions and rights. Like, so
Yeah,
we
as
can
long
talk
as-
about
as
things that
long as
everyone
you're-
disagrees with.
Yeah. As
It's
long as
okay.
your decisions and rights don't put me or my family in danger,
Exactly.
we're okay.
Exactly.
But should you put me and my family in danger, I'm probably going to have an opinion about it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So that's a little bit about the concept of what we've been talking about for months. And so like 6 months ago, I was up in Pennsylvania at that point. I was in upstate for New York for a little bit, visiting my parents. And I had been feeling for like 2.5 years the pull to come down here and just be closer. Because one thing in life is like that I really believe in is intentionality, which ties into Hold the Bridge for me, because intentionality, like the way that you think in life is how you live your life. So as a man thinks in his heart, so is he, right? And I always hear people talk about things they want to do, things they would do, and it's sad to me that the like graves are filled with people that had hopes and dreams, and they died, but then their bodies got buried 30, 40 years later, and they never lived it. They lived apart from friends or family. Like, they didn't live the life that they wanted to. And one of the things for me coming down here with this was I really wanted to be intentional about being with my friends, being with people who, the whole like saying about irons sharpens irons. Like we challenge each other constantly when we talk about difficult things. We challenge each other's thinking, and because of it we grow and we can reach more and do more in that.
Right.
So there's a lot of intentionality even behind doing this and starting the podcast. Another thing that really I find really interesting about you, and I think this is true for myself too, but we are very intentional about the way that we live our life and what we do and who we surround ourselves with, but also we have a deep sense of purpose.
Hmm.
Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I do.
Tell me about your purpose a little bit. And you can go as deep as you want to go with this or as shallow as you want. But talk about the intentionality of living a life of purpose, because there's a lot of people that are going to listen to this. Because I have talked to hundreds of thousands of people. I used to go on TikTok and literally just go on people's lives and I would just ask them a Danny Johnson question, like, what would you do if money didn't matter?
Right.
You could do anything in the world. What would you do? I mean, I have no joke asked 5,000 people that question. Okay. So I've like kind of dove into this in psychology myself, but I find that a lot of people, they're like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't
Right.
really know what my purpose is. So you can go into this as much or as little as you want right now, but talk to me about purpose, because I see you as an individual who has a deep sense of purpose.
So I remember I was 26, maybe younger, maybe 25. And I'm sitting in a counseling session and the counselor, we get to the end of it. Nothing is different for me, but he asked a question on my way out the door. He's like, Brad, you don't believe you're worth loving, do you? And that was a, whatever you want to call it, download from him. But he asked me that question. That hit me like a hammer. Just like, boom. That's the truth right there, is I don't believe I'm worth loving. Everything, whatever else happened out of that, what it did was it started me praying a prayer. And that prayer was, Father, show me that you love me. I don't believe I'm worth loving. I can't fix that myself. Show me. Show me that you love me, that I am lovable. And that prayer, it continued for a while and I got an answer. And after I got an answer, I shifted. I added a second prayer. And that prayer was, Father, show me why you made me. What's my purpose here? Because I can create one. I can adopt somebody else's.
Right.
And that's how most of us go. We say, well, I don't know how to dream or I don't know how to set goals, but that goal that I just heard from that person, that sounds really good. So I'll make that my goal too. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. That's the Chick-fil-A dream. You can buy a Chick-fil-A, like you can start a Chick-fil-A. In fact, I remember Ravi Kendall one time told me, he's like, Graham, you're not an entrepreneur, you're an intrapreneur. An entrepreneur can start a Chick-fil-A. You're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you got to manage business. An intrapreneur is someone who creates the business. I had never heard that before
right.
when he said that. But it's true, you can adopt someone's dream.
You can adopt someone's dream.
Or you can figure out what your dream is.
Or you can ask the one who created you what dream he planted in you, because there's one in there.
Right.
Because he created you for one. And so that's where I went. Father, why did you create me? What purpose did you create me for? And however many years later, I got an answer. And that answer was, Brad, I created you to protect a people. Just short, simple. I was doing that whole journaling exercise where you ask questions and then just start writing. And it was a sentence period. I created you to protect a people. No answer as to who those people were. No answer as to how I was supposed to do it. But just seeing it opened up a whole world for me. My purpose is to protect a people. And I still don't know solidly who those people are. I just know there's a people that if I don't hold the bridge, they don't get protected. And so everything I have created since then, every decision, every business, every the people I choose to bring in my life at whatever level have all been around, well, protect a people. And I was really grateful later to change the prayer again and add in a third one. And that's, well, what did you put this family together for, right? When I was married, and why? Because you took Father, you took a human being with their own dreams and their own gifts and their own skills, different from mine, and you stuck us together with my gifts and my dreams and my skills, different from hers, connected me to her family with their gifts and their dreams and their skills, different from my family's gifts and dreams. We're all like, you combined the perfect mixture to create this for a reason. So what did you put this family together for? Which, when you start praying that prayer, it opens up your mind to consider beyond your own lifetime.
Right.
And so now the very real possibility, and the one I focus on the most, is who beyond my lifetime do I need to protect by holding the bridge? What am I doing right now that protects my children and my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and the children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren of my allies? Because maybe the dream is not for me. Maybe it's for one of my children or one of my grandchildren.
That's super good.
Because if I go back to the Bible, King David had a dream. God, I want to build you a house.
Right.
This is one of the most powerful things I pulled out of the Bible ever. God, I want to build you a house. You are worthy of this great house. Do you remember what God told him?
Told him no, didn't he?
God told him,
your son
there is too much blood on your hands.
Yep.
You cannot do this for me. This is for your son to do. And David said, okay. And so instead of building God a house, he made all the right friends, collected all the right resources, stockpiled cedar and gold and silver and bronze and stone, and made friends with Hiram up North River to ship logs down, and got everything together because he wasn't allowed to do the dream. He wasn't allowed to. It was for his son. And so I also am very, very aware that the dream that's planted in me might not be for me.
Wow.
So what resources do I put together now in case it's not?
I resonate with that a lot.
Right?
Like, it's making me emotional a bit. Like, I kind of resonate with King. Like, I don't have blood on my hands in this, in the fact of I've never killed anybody.
No.
Right?
But
I've had failures,
yes.
Tremendous failures in my life.
Yeah.
And in a way it feels marred. I feel marred by those failures. But my heart has always been so intensely for the worship of God. But my life is messy. Right. And it's so funny because when I started it out, I was the dude who saved sex for marriage. Everybody in high school knew Graham doesn't date anybody. They used to, I remember I read this book called I Kissed Dating Goodbye, and right. People on the senior last day wrote you need to kiss dating hello, all these things. I tried to do things right and follow God, and man, my life got messy. I mean, I went through a decade of absolute hell on earth. Right. And I feel that I feel I'm God, am I marred in such a way that I don't get to do this thing for you that I've right. wanted to do, that I desire to do, but that my sons get to do? Right. So my job is to set them up so that they can succeed where I failed in that. Yeah. And I'm not saying by any means that it's too late for me or that I don't get to enjoy, purpose or presence of God. I'm deeply right. fulfilled in the purpose that I have and deeply rooted in what I'm supposed to be doing. But I resonate and feel that about King David. And I'd never really, it's been a little while since I kind of meditated or thought on that.
Right.
That's powerful.
So then just what purpose has been given you that may be for you or maybe for your sons?
Man, in my natural mind, there's generational blessings that came down through my family musically. It's so funny because I think in my life I could have been a professional athlete. Absolutely, I had the skill set, I had the drive. There's several sports I could have become a professional athlete in, that I could have touched that entire realm for the kingdom of God. Music realm, if I wanted to have become a professional musician or a studio artist, I could have done that, and I didn't do that. And it's interesting. I think I need to examine this like a lot deeper now that we're talking about it, because I feel like I spent 10 years in hell, or like in a prison of sorts, that I mean, there's years that I can't even remember. Like there's genuinely like things I genuinely can't even remember, because some things were so difficult that I don't know if my brain had just blocked it out,
Right.
like a trauma response type of thing. But I went through some hard crap that like a young man shouldn't have to go through.
Right.
That was of my own choosing. Like I chose that path. I'm responsible for it. But when it comes to like purpose for my children, man, I think about what would I have wanted my dad to do differently in my life.
Right.
What like I wish that I'm gonna get a little bit emotional about this, but like, because I absolutely love my parents. I love them to
Right.
pieces because of the gifts that they gave me.
Yeah.
I had to pay money to go get the things that they didn't give me, but that's the way of things. Like there's no possible way I can teach my son everything he needs to know by the time he's an adult.
Right.
Like my oldest son is already 14 years old. He's got 4 more years before he's out, and I feel like I've taught him nothing.
Mm.
And yet I've been intentional every time we're together to teach him, and I feel like I have barely like, like I hope that my son gets to watch this someday, and like just like Levi, I hope you know, like I have thought about this every time, every day, that like as a dad, you just want the best for your kids, and you want to create the best future for them, and you make sacrifices, you do everything you can to try to give them what they need and prepare them for the world. Because like, son, I gotta tell you, the world is harsh. Man, it's hard, and it doesn't seem like it's getting any easier.
Right.
It's getting harder. But it's our job to set them up
Right.
as best as we can.
Mhm.
Not hand them everything, because that just ruins people.
Right.
It ruins them. But it's our job to prepare them for the things that they're going to have to go through, because it's good. There comes a day where it's going to be out of our control. And I was just talking about this with my mom the other day. I'm like, Mom, you could invest everything in your kids and they could still just go off and make all sorts of mistakes, and you as a grandparent have to pay for those mistakes.
Right.
For your children's choices, once they become an adult, like I have a friend who I grew up with. He's a really close friend with me, and his parents are raising his child
Right.
that he had. Those grandparents, they're reaping the consequences of his choices. So it's pretty intense to think about what we're pouring into our children every single day, and what we're teaching them, and how we're teaching them to think and approach the world. This is a big thing about holding the bridge.
Right.
And to me, it really comes down to mindset. Like for me, when I think about holding the bridge, one of my favorite verses in the Bible is Romans 12:2, and it's don't conform to the patterns of the world. Okay, which the patterns of the world just lead to destruction. Okay, it leads to failure and destruction, not just every way. But the way that you don't do that is by being transformed by the renewing of your mind. Renewing of your mind means changing the way you think.
Right.
It's firing up those neurons, creating new neurological pathways, and literally, like, the crazy thing about thinking is that you think something and you think that what you're thinking is right, and it could be completely wrong.
Right.
But you're like, no, that's what it is. And so changing the way you think means stepping out of that pathway and saying, you know what, I'm going to try a different thought approach here. And you might get a different result. And then you might realize, oh, there's more than one way to think about something. So we need to actually rewire our brains and tap into neuroplasticity. Dr. Carolyn Leaf talks a lot about that.
Right.
But we got to change the way we think. If we're going to change our lives, what you think about food, okay, is going to affect what you eat. What you think about clothes or fashion or your self-image is going to change the way that you dress or you carry yourself. What you think about who you are and what your purpose is going to change how you carry yourself and how you walk into a room every day. What you think about the income that you deserve or don't deserve, or what your skill sets are, is going to affect the way that you take on every action, what you do for work and where you put your time. The way you think shapes everything. So for me, holding the bridge is about looking at things and saying, am I thinking about this correctly, and what in me needs to change, so that way I can create a better path for myself and for those who are behind me right now.
Mm-hmm.
that they're coming up and I need to hold it for them. What needs to change in me in my thinking? When I see my son, we like to play a lot of video games and hang out and do stuff. Is that the best use of our time every time? Should we be putting more time into other things, or am I thinking as a dad like, hey, I'm bonding with him, we're having fun, or am I ruining him by just bonding with him and having fun and just hanging out with him doing that, but
Right.
not doing these other things? So I think about these things a lot when it comes to the concept of hold the bridge and renewing your mind.
Right.
Are you willing and able to consider that you might not be right about the way that you view the world, or is there a better way? That's the question. It's not always about right or wrong. Is there a better way? So I think about those things a lot. But you really, yeah, I'm gonna have to really kind of think and meditate on what you said about the King David thing and about my children and all that. That's I feel that one, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who
Right.
feels that.
I think we should wrap this up. But the real point I like to take away from King David in that one is King David, and he didn't go, oh, okay, well then he'll do it. He's like, okay, well, where's the limit as to what I can do without violating the command?
Right.
Right? It's like, okay, well, how much of this can I do without stepping over the line that you just made? Because God said, don't build it. Well, all he just said was, don't build it.
Can you imagine, like, David messed up so severely in his life, and I resonate with this so bad. Like, God, I've made so many mistakes, but my heart has been and will always be so deeply in love with God.
Right.
Like, I'm a worshiper like, I love God. And can you imagine, like, your deepest desires to build a house for God, and God's like, you don't get to do this. And instead, like, David did some bad stuff, but what character does it take to be like, you know what, God? Okay. And he doesn't throw a hissy fit. Instead of throwing a hissy fit, he says, okay, what can I do to set up my son?
Well, I have a different point of view, because a whole bunch of the stuff that David did that put blood on his hands, God told him to do.
Well, I think I'm specific. Yeah, I agree with that. But I'm thinking more Bathsheba.
Right.
Like, you had her husband killed,
Right.
so you could sleep with her and make her your wife. That's pretty dirty.
Right.
That wasn't. It's probably not good.
But to go into the fact that not only did God plant that vision in him and then tell him no,
right?
He set him up,
right,
so that the answer was going to be no.
Well,
okay, he created all of that.
Let me play God's advocate here for a second. Is it possible, because it doesn't specify what the blood on his hands was? What if it wasn't the blood that he had to shed?
You're right.
What if it was what happened with Bathsheba and the innocence that was killed? What if it wasn't the command? What if it was the innocence that he chose to kill?
It's possible.
Because it does not specify what blood.
You're right.
Put him out on that.
It's true.
It doesn't say, right?
Yep.
I'm just saying.
No, it's good.
We don't know.
We don't.
So don't go freaking killing people's husbands so you can marry their wife. That's a bad idea. God says don't commit adultery, don't commit murder.
Right.
That we could spend we could spend 2 podcast topics talking about just blood sacrifice and that, because
we probably will.
If blood was the reason that David couldn't do that, and yet blood was what atoned. I mean, there's some stuff we could pick apart there and get into. That would be really interesting. I would be really curious if David didn't get to build it because of murder or the innocence of blood that was shed versus what had to be done.
Right.
We won't go into that right now, but that is, I've never thought about that before. we gotta go into that one sometime.
We should wrap it up.
All right. Well, this was fun.
Yes.
I thoroughly enjoy this. It's like one of those things where, like, it takes forever to get it going, and then, like, once you sit down and you do it, you're like, you know what? That wasn't so bad.
Right.
Now the door's open, and now we can get dialed in. So one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on set and lighting, figuring out if we want to use this room, which I kind of like this. Like, it feels private, feels kind of like intimate in a way, and relaxed, and and it's kind of like low light in here. It kind of works, and I'm excited for what's going to be ahead. Just a couple things. So, if you guys want to tune in to the episodes, we already have like the first several episodes lined up, and once we get those recorded and putting them out, you can go to holdthebridge.com. We already own the website. It's already up right now. You can go to holdthebridge.com. This is going to be on Spotify. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be, you'll be able to see it on Facebook. Like, this will be posted all over the place. Okay. It's going to be everywhere. If you want to immediately be catching up or keeping up with like current events and stuff, we're going to be discussing current events. I mean, let's talk just really briefly. What are some of the things we're going to be really dialing in on? Like every episode, we're going to be talking about some current event stuff. We'll be probably talking about a topic where we kind of flow around that central topic and talk about it. We're going to be doing some React videos. Brad and I are both into like protection, asset protection, physical protection, a whole bunch of things. So we're gonna be diving into that, protecting our freedoms. So if it's related to freedoms or freedom related things, we're gonna be discussing that. What else would you add to that about just the general flow of what we're gonna be doing and discussing with it?
Well, I just think it's going to fit into our purposes, and so we're going to end up discussing history. We're going to end up discussing the cycles of society. We're going to discuss how people think and why they think that way. You know, both of us are we believe in the same creator, and so you know we'll probably dive into that a little bit from that perspective.
Sure.
Which won't be everybody's cup of tea, but both of us are pretty open, so hopefully the watchers will be pretty open. But yeah, I mean, every week I write that newsletter and I'm learning. I know about what's going on with war all over the world. I know what's going on with freedoms and liberties all over the world. Like, we'll probably talk about Canada on a regular basis because Canada has gone to a bad place.
There's a word for it.
Yeah, like, you know, we'll pick that stuff up, stuff that I write about in the newsletter. We'll talk
Excellent.
about. Yeah.
And if somebody wants to subscribe to your newsletter, how can they find you right now to go and do that? If you're interested in current events and what's going on and getting like an in-depth perspective to get another view, that's very, I would say, unbiased in that it's unbiased from the way you're looking at it, but biased in the way of how should we be thinking about this, how this affects us.
Yeah. It's on, you can find me on Skool. Skool. Watchman. Look up Watchman Consulting. Watchman Consulting.
Not Watchmen.
Not Watchmen.
Watchman.
Yep.
Consulting.
Yeah, we're not watching men. It's we're watching one man.
No.
No.
Watchman Consulting.
Yeah, on Skool.
On Skool. Skool.
Yep.
Awesome. Go check that out and go subscribe to Brad's email. You put that out every single week on what day?
I missed the occasional one, but it goes out Tuesday afternoons.
Tuesday afternoons. Awesome. Well, you heard it here. I hope you guys enjoyed tuning in with us. Thanks for taking the time to watch. We'd love your feedback, your comments, and you know, if we haven't seen you in a while, say hello, and we'll see you guys. We'll be putting some more content out real soon. Yeah. So, thanks for tuning in. We'll go ahead and shut the stream down, and you guys have an amazing day.